Hello everyone and welcome back to the World War II Solitaire board game channel. And today is a very special episode. It is the first time I have someone else with me. This is Thomas Van Hare. I think I pronounced that correctly.
It's Thomas Van Hare.
Van Hare, there we go. I like to do the Norwegian pronunciation. But yeah, you are the author of many wargaming books, and I have every World War II copy right here, which is Tally Ho. We have Mag 23 Guadalcanal, and then we have SOE Lysander. Yep.
Yeah.
And you have quite a few in the works, and we're going to take a look at one of them today.
Yeah, we have another one that I'm working on right now called Achtung Jabo, which concerns the 371st Fighter Group at D-Day. And now I've added to the game an extended campaign that takes you until June 17th, which is the day they moved from Britain at their airbase at Bistern all the way across and started operating from an airfield, a forward airfield, directly at the front lines. They would literally take off, climb out, drop their bombs, turn, and land. That's how close they were to the front lines.
Yeah.
And they were at St. Mary-Glise. Yeah. So this covers the game at D-Day. It covers the time you begin with 2 patrols in the morning or at noontime and 2 patrols in the late afternoon. Yeah. And so the game covers the experience. It puts you in the role of the fighter group commander of the 371st Fighter Group, which has 3 squadrons of P-47D Thunderbolts. The Razorback, which is a famous type of Thunderbolt without the bubble canopy, before the bubble canopy. And it's a huge airplane, carries a lot of bombs and a lot of rockets, and you do a lot of damage to the Germans. It's the beginning of America's fighter bomber dominance in World War II. Yeah. Happened right then at D-Day.
So you're going to do a lot of damage to German armor and other...
Yeah, armor, trucks, infantry, everything. All the targets that you had at D-Day, they're there, including gun emplacements. All right. In the afternoon patrol, you have to take down 2 gun emplacements, one at Maisie and the other at Kriesbeck. And these were shelling the beaches and doing a lot of damage to the American soldiers that afternoon. Yeah. So the 371st was tasked with attacking them and taking them down. Yep. And so you have to recreate that as well.
All right.
It's a historically based scenario. Everything that you do in it is exactly as happened. A lot of decisions, though. Yeah. All of my games have a lot of player decisions, a lot of player agency. There are no roll through the tables and see what happens to you. They're narrative style, but they're not roll and write. So the decisions you make are quite critical. Everything from how you prepare a flight, who you have fly where in the flight, what armament you carry, whether you're carrying rockets or bombs, or just doing top cover. Do you have enough top cover? Are the Germans going to fly? Will you be intercepted by German airplanes? Probably not, it's D-Day, but it can happen. And so the game is designed to create that uncertainty for you. And every time you play it, it's going to be different.
And you mentioned that you have this extended campaign. Is that going to be part of the basic game?
Part of the basic game.
Yeah. But originally you play on D-Day.
You play on D-Day as the standard campaign.
Yeah.
That's the campaign game as you play it just D-Day.
D-Day.
And then you determine if you've won or lost on D-Day.
Yeah.
And if you lose, you might get reassigned to the Pentagon.
Yeah, doesn't sound like a fun job.
A fate worse than death.
Yeah. So in D-Day we have a set campaign, I guess, with historical targets and such. So is that going to be also the way of the campaign, that you will have set goals on each day, or is it going to be different?
Each day you roll to see what targets are assigned to you. It's much easier than the action on D-Day. Yeah. Everything happened on D-Day. Every airplane flew. Every pilot that they could put in the air flew. Afterwards, they got more into a routine day to day. So you were attacking anywhere from 1 to 4 assigned targets each day. Yeah. Some days, none. If the weather's bad, you may not fly. And so it mimics that, and it plays that out in a way that is historically correct, while at the same time, every time you do it, it's going to be different. And so you have 14 different target areas, and they will be assigned. Some of them, as the advance happened until the 17th, they were overrun, and so they're no longer assigned in the game at later dates. Yeah. So as you play, you have some of the targets go away.
Yeah.
And it mimics that history in that regard. And the types of units that you will see at each location are also historically accurate.
So for players who have one of these, of your other World War II games, would you say that this is different enough that it's valid for them to also buy that, or?
Yeah, every game I've designed is completely different in how it plays and the history behind it. The history dictates gameplay, not the other way around.
Yeah.
So in each of these books, I write the history section first. And then, based on everything that I've learned in research from history, and I have a pretty extensive background in history and research, the gameplay is generated from that. The rules come out of history, not the rules are made and then you try to fit the game into the rules.
Yeah. So what's your process? You showed me this book about 371st Fighter Groups. I guess that's their official history.
1946, this was published.
Yeah.
It was published for the squadron members, and it included photographs and maps of everything that they did and every place they were. This is one of the many books and support things, but this is what inspired the book, was something like this.
Yeah.
This is a war game book, and we'll have a box set as well for this. And so you won't have to make your own counters. And I do that with all of my games, because a lot of people aren't very crafty.
No.
In fact, I may be the worst. Maybe we're tied to that. I don't know. I'm the worst at making counters.
Yeah.
So when we play, you will see.
Yeah.
They're a little bit rough.
Yeah.
So I like the box sets.
Yeah. No, but I think also, for me, it's whenever I had to do some print and play, I'm so eager. I just want to start playing. I want to have everything ready. So it goes too quickly, and I'm not too. I know some people can paint miniatures for hours. I'm not that kind of person. I need some action. So maybe that's the same.
Yeah, and I went with the highest quality components you can find.
Yeah.
We went with Blue Panther.
Yeah.
Very good company. Nothing but great things to say about them. Their counters are among the thickest in the gaming world, and they feel really weighty, and they're beautifully crafted. The combined cost of the book and the box set is about what a regular board game would cost, and these aren't like lightweight books in terms of gaming quality.
No.
They're not a quick and dirty 40-page, 50-page read and write kind of thing. These are full-fledged war games.
Yeah, and I've noticed also, like, for me, when I was reading through them, what is different about these games when it comes to reading rules of other books is that usually a rule book has perhaps a page that gives you the historical background to the game, but then it's just game rules. But here we have a lot of information on the history and the combat and how things work. So even me, that I mentioned for you earlier, that I don't know much about air warfare in World War II. I'm more of a tank guy, but as I was reading the rules to Achtung Jabo, I started to get a picture in my head why the rules were sorted in a specific way and how I had to think. So it's just not rules, it's kind of like a mix between rules and a history book.
Yeah,
is that
the
what
rules
you were
I
going
write,
for, or?
Yeah, the rules are written in a more narrative style.
Yeah.
It's a conversational presentation of the rules rather than just do this, do this, do this, +2 on that, +1 on this if you have this. It explains why. And so I'll end up with rules generally are between 20 and 30 pages of rules. If I were to write that without examples, without explanations, the rules might be 4 or 5 pages. And as a reader, you can go through and you can say, I can skip this section. This is obviously, just history as to why this rule is here. And you can just sort of skim those. What people find is that as they play the games, they go back and they reread the explanations and they reread the history. The history sections in the books are pretty extensive, 40 or 50 pages of history about what happened. And so you really get an understanding. And if you know that history, it affects your gameplay in ways that help you win. If you don't know that history, you're probably going to learn the same lessons that they learned in history and suffer the consequences as you learn them.
Yeah.
And in the games that I've done in World War II, MAG-23 Guadalcanal is exactly that. If you study the history extensively, you'll know that they were running low on fuel, and when they were running low on fuel, and what some of the issues were that they faced, and how radar affected their interceptions. And the game actually creates that. Most people don't read those rules, they just start playing, and then by the time they're halfway through, they realize, I have completely screwed this up.
Yeah.
I'm running out of fuel. I can't, here come the Japanese and I don't have enough fuel to launch enough airplanes to intercept, and so on. And these are the lessons the Marines actually learned on Guadalcanal the hard way. In this game, you are the group commander. The burden of command is on your shoulders. You have 3 squadrons, Thunderbolt squadrons, P-47 Thunderbolts, the Razorback. This is one of the most deadly aircraft in the fighter bomber role in the Second World War. You have under your command over 1,000 men. In those 1,000 men, you have about 75 to 80 pilots. Every one of those pilots is named. You need to bring them home alive. You're going to take a lot of flak. You're going to take a lot of damage. You're going to dish out a lot of damage. These are Thunderbolts. They do a lot of damage. It comes down to you, though, how you attack. The decisions you make are going to decide whether your boys come home or don't. At the beginning, you set up your squadrons, name your pilots, then you roll up an intelligence briefing for the day to see what targets are likely to be at the different on the different patrol routes that you have to fly. Based on that, you decide how to arrange your flights, assign your pilots to the airplanes. You're going to have several patrols to fly during the day, so you need to manage your resources carefully. And what armament to put on the airplanes, rockets, bombs, or just strafing. And you need to think a lot about how you're going to address the different targets. Some targets are required. You're going to have to hit them. Others are not. When you arrive at the target, you'll find out if the intelligence briefing was accurate. Often it's not. And then you re-roll what the targets are there. And then you have to attack those or not. You can decide what you're going to attack. On a typical patrol, you have 6 sites to attack. And your problem is that you probably can only effectively attack 1 or 2. So you choose your targets carefully.
And we move on an operational map as we're progressing to those.
And we'll do that in the game.
Yeah.
And as you fly from place to place, you're going to be rolling to see if you encounter any aircraft on the way. And then when you arrive overhead, as you arrive, you can see if the targets are what you thought they were.
Yeah.
And your problem is that you really can't see what flak guns might be hidden in the forests. So you don't really know what the defenses are there. And then you decide to attack, and you attack in waves.
So if we attack a target, what's the process there? What do we do? Do we roll dice or?
You decide which flights you're going to assign to this target and in what order.
And which weapons, I assume?
And which weapons are on the flights already when you took off. You can't change from rockets to bombs while you're
say
flying.
if for example, I have 1/3 bombs, 1/3 rockets, and 1/3 machine guns, strafing ammo. Can I choose which ammo to use against this target, or is that going to be automatic?
You choose what you're going to fire.
Yeah.
Also, every aircraft is fully loaded with bullets for the machine guns.
All right.
So it's only really the top cover that don't carry rockets and bombs.